I'd like to do a study on the prophet Daniel's vision of the four beasts, as noted in Daniel's 7th chapter. By understanding this chapter, we can know with certainty the sequencing of major end times events. We will start with the Babylonian Empire and the successive earthly kingdoms that follow, which leads ultimately to Antichrist and his destructive earthly kingdom. The spectacular highlight, however, of this chapter involves the future return of Christ, the judgment of the saints, and the millennial kingdom reign. Truths learned from this study can help us to know the timing of the glorious resurrection of the saints. Knowledge discerned from Daniel's vision should enable us to debunk the deceptive teaching of our times as preached in most churches throughout America. Daniel 7 verse 1 states, "In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions passed." The setting here was 553 BC. Belshazzar was the Babylonian king. This was 14 years before the Babylonian kingdom's eventual fall. Daniel 7 verse 2 through 3 notes, "In my vision at night I looked, and there before me were the four winds of heaven, churning up the great sea. Four great beasts, each different from the others, came up out of the sea." The four winds are the spiritual forces in the heavenly realms that orchestrate the coming of earthly kingdoms according to the plans of God. The Great Sea could literally be the Mediterranean Sea, the area from which these kingdoms arise, but the sea could also be symbolic for the unsaved of humanity. So the beasts that arise from the sea are earthly kingdoms from the corrupt worldly systems. Daniel 7 verse 4 describes the first beast. Quote, "The first was like a lion, and it had wings of an eagle. I watched until the wings were torn off, and it was lifted from the ground, so that it stood on 2 feet like a man, and the heart of a man was given to it." The lion is the Babylonian Empire. The wings note the speed with which the empire grew. Its first and strongest king was Nebuchadnezzar. He was the leader who conquered the nations. Later he went insane as he ate grass like a cow. This was when his wings were torn off. After regaining his sanity, he was able to walk upright some 7 years later. So ultimately Nebuchadnezzar became the very essence of the Babylonian Empire. The king's heart recognized God as sovereign over all nations of men. Daniel 7 verse 5 continues, "And there before me was a second beast, which looked like a bear. It was raised up on one of its sides, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. It was told, 'Get up and eat your fill of flesh.'" The bear was the Medo-Persian Empire. This bear had no wings, so it grew in power slower than the first beast. It devoured the 3 ribs in its mouth, symbolic for Asia Minor, Egypt, and the Chaldeans, the territories it conquered. This beast was unbalanced because the Persian contingent was stronger than the Mede portion of the empire. Daniel 7 verse 6 states, "After that I looked, and there before me was another beast, one that looked like a leopard, and on its back it had 4 wings like those of a bird. This beast had 4 heads and was given authority to rule." This leopard was the Greek Empire under Alexander the Great. He conquered faster than any other, as typified by the 4 wings on the beast. The 4 heads represent 4 generals that will succeed him, namely Seleucus I, who took over the northern part of the kingdom, Ptolemy I, who took the southern part, Cassander, the western portion, and Lysimachus, the eastern part. The 4 heads also represent 4 later kingdoms that will all emerge from Alexander's empire, namely the divided Greek, the Roman, the revised Roman, and the coalition of 10 kings with Antichrist near the end of time.